What's up, guys? It's JMacTucker here, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing we're doing a patch notes overview for the newest patch in Smite 4.9, the Nine-Tailed Terror. This is the Da-G patch, and this is a god I've been waiting for about a month or so. Ever since I heard that she was coming into the game, I got very excited. She's got a crazy lore. More than anything, I have my favorite animal is the fox, and as you can see, I have no fox given. I had to wear this shirt for this one. It was too good not to. But no, I've been wanting a fox character in Smite for a long time. Ever since I played League of Legends and Ahri was a thing. Ahri was always kind of one of my favorite characters, mostly because you could play her mid. I played a lot of mid. I played Annie and all that stuff. But that's beyond the point. I've been waiting for a fox character for a long time, and the fact that we get Da-G as our fox character makes it that much better. Without going too crazy into her lore, I'm going to save the breakdown of her to the end, and we're going to go into the other parts of the patch. Skins, who cares really about skins? Although this patch we got some pretty nice ones. The Gargoyle Camazotz is really well done. The Nebula Medusa is probably now my favorite skin in the game. Tier 2 for Jingwei. Terrible TMNT knockoff for Kuzenbo. Masteries. Emotes, who cares? Miscellaneous stuff. You can't unpause a ranked pause until after 3 seconds. They should do an actual pause thing for that, not just ranked. Who cares? Standings tab for season ticket, blah blah blah. Bug fixes. Stone of Binding and Runeforge Hammer should be properly applying via slows, and Stone of Binding should be properly applying via banishes. This is big because there was a lot of slows in Smite that were not applying either of these passes, and they made it a little too inconsistent. Especially for Runeforge Hammer, we might see a little bit of a rise now that it's properly working. But Stone of Binding, more than anything else, is going to be working up to 100%. I expect almost all support players or all warrior guardians, or solo lane guardians to pick this item up, or even jungle guardians. Basically, any guardian on the map should have this item because it's just that good. It's aura penetration for your team when you apply CC, any CC. A slow, a knockup, a banish, a stun, whatever it is. You apply it, your team gets penetration. It's great. Get it. Bug fixes, who cares? Gameplay balances. Now, I'm not going to go through and read this whole thing because this is a cluster of text for a lot of stuff to go basically say. Levels 1 through 4 had too much snowball potential. Basically, if you had more pressure, you won your lane, and now you have the advantage because you'll hit level 2 before the other lane. You'll come back to lane level 2 comparatively because you had the higher push. Now you have an advantage over the enemy team because of that. They're saying no more. Wave 1 is going to guarantee that everybody hits level 2 in the game. If you hit all creeps. If you get all 6 creeps, you are guaranteed to hit level 2, no matter if you have 1 person or 2 people in your lane. I don't know if it's going to do it if there's 3. I haven't tested that, but there shouldn't be 3 people in your lane at level 1 anyways, unless you're doing some kind of cheeky invade or like level 1 gank or something like that. So what they've done is, as you can see, level 1 used to take 308 experience to get to level 2. Now it only takes 225. They dropped it 83 experience. And in return, they've increased how to get from level 2 to 3 by a significant amount. So the level 2 to 3 is going to feel very long, but when you come out to the math for it, 308 and 363 comes to 371 comparatively, or to 671 comparatively to 655. You're actually hitting level 3 faster. And then 55 comparatively 71. That's a 20. That's like a 16 difference, and it's getting made up with the extra that it takes to get to level 4. So you're hitting level 4 at pretty much the exact same time. But your level 2 is going to come faster, and your level 3 feels like it's going to come out a lot longer. So I like this change. But at the same time, it's not going to change the starts any. It's still going to encourage, high pressure. It's just going to make it to where the duo lane isn't going to get screwed when they get out pushed. Basically it. is there's not going to be the level 2 advantages over in the duo lane more than anything else. And the solo lane is going to have their level 2 by the end of the wave. Gold Fury adjustments increase the base health by 300 and decrease the base gold worth by 40. So you have to take into account that 150 now is times 5 because that gives everybody on your team. So they have dropped it by 200 gold at level 1 or at minute 1 of the game. However, the scaling that they have, increasing it, will still get it. I believe it still gets it to 1,500 gold at the same time. That is, unless they did not change that, and it will take actually longer to get to its maximum worth. Maybe 20 minutes. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to test and see when the Gold Fury hits its peak. But I believe it should still be 15 minutes. And then the Portal Demon gets a gold nerf, which it should. An objective that gives you that much power, like that much power over the map, should not also give you that much gold. Mark of the Vanguard getting a slight nerf from 5 flat damage reduction to 4. That's going to be nice. It's going to make it 6 from a fully tanked wave. That's going to reduce it by increase the damage you take by 6 now. Chronos Pendant. Chronos Pendant getting 20 extra power onto it is nice. I don't think that that's going to be quite enough to make it the worthwhile item, because it is still a very, very expensive luxury item for power and cooldown, but I think this will help it out a lot. Emerald Mail gets 50 extra health because going from Glowing Emerald to Gauntlet of Thieves, Mail of Renewal, Shield of Regrowth, all of those things took too long. It didn't feel worth it, apparently, to go from Glowing Emerald to Emerald Mail. So they increased the gold. Where Gauntlet of Thieves is getting a different treatment, where they're taking 50 health away from it. For, in my opinion, the best support item in the game, next to Stone of, right ahead of Stone of Binding. And behind the other, and above the other 2 aura items as well, as Heartward Sov, Shogun's Kasari. There's just so many strong aura items that off the top of my head, there are 5 items that provide strong auras. Now, obviously, with Stone of Binding, it's situational aura, but you can still get it. It's still that strong of an item. There are basically 5 items I would build on every single support, and then a 6 situational, like a Wing Blade or a Witch Blade, maybe in some cases. A relic, a ritual, a relic dagger. I think relic dagger is what it is. A relic dagger. There's just so many good options, and only taking 50 HP off of Gauntlet of Thieves is not the right way to go. It gives you basically a miniature sovereignty passive with extra health, and it also gives you Heartward's protection passive halved. It's just such a good item. It's a first rush aura item now. Stone of Fall decreased by 200 gold. It's supposed to be 2,900 there. Stone of Fall is still too situational, and really the only gods who can make big use of it are the Guardians, so they don't get eliminated in the middle of a fight. But it's too expensive for Guardians. And for mages, I don't think the stats are quite enough to warrant going into this item. When you could go into a much cheaper route like a Bancroft Talon, you get 100 power, you get 20% lifesteal, and when you drop down to low HP, you get another 100 power and another 20% lifesteal. 200 power, it's a lot. There's just so many good options out there right now for mages that Stone of Fall is just this. It's a little too situational, especially considering mages typically have a lot lower cooldowns, and they can pop this, and then the next time they fight you, they just kill you with the other tick of it. So, nice step, but it's still just too situational. It's way too situational to really, in my opinion, see it picked up. That was Full Blade getting the Emerald Mail treatment, not worth from the tier 1 to the tier 2, and holding on to it towards the tier 3, so extra power on it, no big deal. Shifter Shield. Without going into all the hodgepodge for it, Shifter Shield basically was, when you're above half HP, you get more power. When you're below half HP, you get more protections. Now they've made it to where you get more power when you're below 50%, and much more protection, and more protections when you're below it. It goes from 60-20 when you're above and 40-40 when you're below to being 70-15 above and 35-50 below. So it's a significant increase in the auras and in the passives. God changes. Kurnos finally getting that summer, the Shifter of Seasons summer nerf from 20% to 10%. So big cut in that one. That's going to be a very strong step in the right direction. I think this is that alone is enough to start slowly lining him back down with the other hunters. Not quite enough. I think that there's still maybe a couple of other tiny adjustments that could be made that could bring Kurnos down to like the perfect state of balance, but that there will never be a perfect state of balance for this god. He'll either be really good or not worth it at all. With no CC immunity into his kit, it makes it very vulnerable. I don't know. We'll see. And then the cooldown increase to Bramble Blast just makes him able to clear and root a lot less. Chunga, who I never thought I would say is getting a nerf. Cooldown increases on 2 of her abilities means late game less immunities because really you're not leveling her Moonlit Waltz until you've maxed out your other 2. So level 13-14 is when you're going to finally start putting points in this ability. By that point, you're already in the mid to late stages of the game. You're already in the mid game, heading towards mid-late. So less immunities and then less healings overall throughout the entire game as 2-second increase. So 20% increase on the cooldown for that. Pretty significant, but at the same time, not super significant. I think this will help out. She'll still be a top pick. Maybe not a top ban, but she'll still be up there. She won't be the first pick, first ban anymore, I don't think. Erlong Shen gets increased base power by 1. Okay. But increased base attack speed. It's supposed to be base attack speed, not attack speed per level, from 0.8 to 1. That's very significant. I don't think I have seen a god aside from Shiba Lanke ever get an attack speed increase of that level of significance. That's going to really help out his wave clear and his bully potential in the solo lane, and as well into the later stages if he opts to go into some form of attack speed item. It's going to benefit him that much more. Because you have to remember with attack speed, it goes off of your base. So if your base is 0.8, 20% increase is not going to give you 0.2. It's going to give you less than 0.2. It's going to be like 0.15 or slightly above 0.16 actually. Times 5, yeah, 0.16. Where now if you go, so you'll be from 0.8 to 0.96. Now you're going to go now you're going from 0.96 to 1.2. It's a big difference just with one item alone. So it's also a 0.04 difference in a 20% attack speed item. And then you just continuously multiply that. So he's getting a lot from the base, and now attack speed items are going to help him that much more. Guan Yu, Warrior's Will, increased scaling, and Tallow Assault, the big talking point there. Protection Steel increased from 3 to 5 scaling. Protection Steel is very... I think steel-based items are very undervalued and even... not undervalued, overlooked. And even abilities that do it as well are very overlooked. Take Iqbal, for example. It's 30 power steel. 30 power steel is actually a 60 power swing. Because if they have Warrior Tabai, they have 40 power. They have 40 power now with Warrior Tabai. Let's say you have Warrior Tabai, but you also have Iqbal. So you go from being 40 power versus 40 power to you hit 3 in-hands. Now you're at 70 power, and they're at 10. Which means they hit for 60 less power comparatively to you. That's the thing that people don't take into account for protection and power steals, is you are not only taking 30, you're not only gaining 30, but you're taking 30. So you're effectively gaining 60 power over them. And that's what Tallow Assault is going to do for protection stealing. It's going to be a steal, it's doubling the benefit, it's a double benefit of the steal that's going to last longer now. So now mages are going to be more vulnerable when they take this steal damage. Hunters are going to be a lot less tanky. Tanks are going to be less tanky. You're going to be able to burst them in a much larger window. So we might see some more actual Guan Yu come in the game. Hades. They made him a mage, and now his mage ability is too pub stompy. It was too much damage. It was a lot of damage. So instead of hitting the damage, which was such a big increase, they're affecting the cooldowns and the healing from Devour Souls. So Death from Below going to take 2 more seconds to come online. Shroud of Darkness is actually getting a 1 second at all range decrease. So they're taking away the easy. They're adding that unique factor a little bit more. And then Devour Souls, less healing on it. 33% decrease. Odin Gungnir's Might getting an increase in his base damage, which is pretty significant. It goes from being 70 for both swings at rank 1 to 90. And at the end of it, you're getting an extra 60 power difference. So it's becoming more of an ability instead of just a slow bot. And speaking of slow bot, the second swing will now slow. I didn't know that it didn't. I assumed that both of them did. And lastly, for balancing Susano, without going into the nitty gritty, because these numbers, as they said, are invisible numbers, basically Typhoon is going to act more like Whirlpool than Hades ult. Typhoon was basically a better Hades ult, because he didn't have to stand still. He could still fire off abilities during it. He could still auto attack. He could still do everything. Or I don't think he could fire abilities on auto attack, but he could basically drop it, walk away from the danger, and then whenever he's ready, just pop it in whatever direction he wants, and it's a large knockup in damage. Now it's allowing you to be able to walk out of it a lot easier. It's going to act more like a Whirlpool. I think that was the comparison that they should have made, was it went from being a Hades ult to a Whirlpool, which is a big difference. And that's it for balancing. Get out of here, Dell. Nobody gives a damn. Let's quickly try and talk about Daji. I'll do more of a breakdown when it comes to another video, but for now, let's just go ahead and talk about her passive or her kit very briefly and what kind of potential she can offer. Daji is essentially Loki 2.0 in my opinion. The way that she works is a lot of her stuff applies bleeds. You want to get those bleeds off, because the bleed is going to scale very well in the late game. It's 10% of your power converted into the bleed plus 5 base damage. So a typical assassin's going to have somewhere around maybe 200 power or so built up, maybe a little bit more or less depending on how the game is going. So late game, your bleed damage is going to start dealing like 25 or so before it gets mitigated, which is very crazy because each of her auto attacks applies 2 ticks of bleed damage. So 25 times 2, you get 50. So your auto attack that just hit for 200 actually hit for 300. Your auto attack in the mid stage that was hitting for 120 is now hitting for I didn't mean 300 earlier, 250. Still pretty nice. Now your 100 is hitting for 130. So it's just a general little increase, and it stacks. It's not like it reapplies the timer or like a timer or anything. It is every time a basic attack lands, they are taking 2 ticks of bleed damage. If you hit them 4 times, they will take 8 ticks. If you hit them with an ability that applies it, it will hit them for 2 times and keep adding to the stacks of it. So that's how Torture Blade works. Horrible Burns is just like Torture Blades. You hit them with an auto attack. With this, when you use this ability, you channel it. Hit them with the basic attack, they take initial damage plus bonus damage. They take 3 ticks of it every second. Plus they take bleed damage because you hit them with the auto attack. Plus, if you're running Bluestone, they'll take Bluestone and take damage. It's a lot of dot damage in this god. 1,000 cuts. She strikes 4 times over 2 seconds, so it's every half second. So it's boom, 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 boom. 4 hits. Each of them applying a stack of bleed. So 8 more ticks of bleed. She also gains movement speed. Immunity is slow. And the big thing that is going to separate the good Dajis from the bad is how are you going to utilize this ability late game, which is damage dealt to her by enemies behind her. She takes mitigated damage. This is going to be big in late game fights when the assassin is typically going to kind of be in the middle. Somebody's going to try and dive or get a big mage ult off. She can proc this ability and turn around. All she has to do is turn around, and she will take less damage. That is a very crazy mechanic that is going to really separate the good and the bad dodgies. Next ability, Spirit Link is like a Loki style teleport, except here's the big thing to take from this is you can teleport to anything that moves in Smite. Minion, jungle camp, god. Friendly or foe, you can teleport to it with this. That's going to be a big key as well, is how is the Spirit Link utilized for initiation or escape. It will also apply the, I believe it will also apply the bleed. Another 2 takes of damage. And lastly, her Pow Lao summons this giant tower-esque thing in the right below you, puts you into the air, so you'll be out of combat. She gets to fire 3 chains while up there, and it's a very quick timer. That's one thing that you have to be careful of. It's a very short timer up there. You fire 3 chains, enemy becomes chained and slowed. At the end of the ability, when she jumps back to the ground, all enemies are pulled into the Pow Lao, which is the tower. They become stunned. They take additional damage. Over the course of 2 seconds, they take 3 ticks of damage. The big thing to note is if you use any form of CC immunity, whether it's purification beads, I don't know if Aegis pulls it off or not. I think it blocks. I think Aegis will not take the chain off. But if you use the CC immune ultimate or purification beads, you cannot be pulled in at any point. It will break the chain off of you. It'll break the slow, break the chain, and it cannot reapply to you. That means they cannot put another chain on you. Like, let's say you use beads immediately on the first chain, and they waited until the duration of beads was done, and they hit you again. You will not be pulled in, as far as from what I can tell. A big thing coming into this is going to be who's going to have the good follow-up for it, because it does create a tower in the middle of the map, especially when they're stunned. They're stunned by being pulled and yanked into the tower. They'll be sitting on the edge of this thing. So depending where they're pulled from, this could lead to awkward positioning for some abilities. I'm not sure if you can place a Giannis portal on it. I haven't tested that yet, but I'm going to be doing a lot of testing with this god and what makes a lot of things tick. And we're going to be waiting to see what kind of things come from her. Is she going to be more ability focused, more auto attack focused? Is there going to be a fine mix in her kit? I personally think she's going to build more like an Wheelish, where she gets some power online early, Hydra's Lament, Jotun's Wrath, things like that. And then late game, she gets items like Executioner, maybe a Kin Size, and this is where she'll start dealing that significant auto attack damage from the Torture Blades. One thing to note, and I did some damage numbers for it, is at level 5. At level 5, with typical jungle build, you're going to do somewhere between 600 some odd damage to about 800. 650 to 800 damage. I've got exact numbers, but that changes based off items built. But at base value, you're doing somewhere between 600 to 800 damage, which is a lot. A lot. Very early on. But the thing is if you utilize all of that damage to get in there, you're probably going to die, because you have to use Spirit Link in order to get inside there. So we'll see exactly what comes of Daji. I really like this god. I think her kit is really nice. It's a little awkward, but I think it's a real nice kit. Her design is fantastic. And her lore. I mean, when you read up on her lore, you'll see some of the decisions that Hi-Rez made for this. And people think that it's like, oh my god, it's just another god with another half-dressed god with big boobs. But when you read her lore and you realize what she does, it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of the things about her. So that's going to be it. We'll do more in-depth on Daji in another video, probably pretty shortly. This is one of the first assassins I've actually taken a real interest in. Like I said, because it's a fox, and I love foxes. My favorite animal. So you see this t-shirt. So that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys for watching the JMacTucker. We remind you guys have a great day. Keep on keeping on. I'll see you guys in the next video.